Hey, Chance, push that button.
Welcome to the Fortress Files podcast. The First Lady Leg Show, covering all things Vegas Golden Knights. Roll down the drawbridge and step into the Fortress Files. And to start the show, here's your hostess, Desiree.
Thanks for the introduction, Zuri. I am your host, Desiree. Welcome into the Fortress Files. With me today is my co-host and my chief producer, Aaron.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for joining me, and thank you so much for beautifully producing my podcast.
I try. It's been fun.
Well, I just want to introduce myself to all my listeners out there. My name is Desiree. I am new to hockey as of 2 years ago, so I am learning about it and using this podcast to help me learn about it. Aaron, when did you start getting into hockey?
I followed hockey living in Tampa probably about 2001. I was really into the Lightning. Vinny Lecavalier was kind of busting onto the scene, and I was rewarded a couple years later when they won their first and only cup in '04.
Right.
And it's kind of taken off since then, and now I've got a new allegiance to follow.
And that would be the Vegas Golden Knights, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this podcast is all about as well. We'll be around town, guys, at games, practices, events that they're going to be holding. Hopefully you'll see us there and you can introduce yourselves.
And check out our sweet t-shirts.
Yeah, once we get them made. You can, input about the podcast. We might be doing interviews, all that kind of jazzy stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I know your end goal is to hopefully turn this into a media credential, which would be pretty sweet because I think we can do some real good for a lot of people who are casual fans and who are fans of the team and fans of the NHL. And I'm excited to see where this takes us. And if it takes us nowhere, then oh well. We sit here, we have fun.
Dude, I'm super excited for it. I'm having nothing but fun over here.
Yep.
A couple places you can follow us. We are on Twitter at Fortress Files, and we are also on Instagram at The Fortress Files. All I'll be posting on the Instagram really is pictures of practice and games, videos, and also letting you know when the next podcast is uploaded.
So I guess I'll have to take pictures of tomorrow's game in Arizona.
Absolutely.
Well, not in Arizona, but against Arizona.
That's what you're here for.
Oh, okay, good, because you're not paying me.
Nope, you are doing this out of the kindness of your heart. So let's just jump right into it. A couple things I wanted to talk about in this podcast. Let's talk about the most recent 2-game road trip when we went to Minnesota and Winnipeg.
Yeah, not a happy road trip.
No, it wasn't, and I was hoping for better numbers. Let's start with Minnesota first. We had Subban in the goal. How do you think he played?
He played okay. I wouldn't say great. I'd say he looked more along the lines of his Boston Bruins self. I think this 2-game road trip to me kind of signaled a little bit more of the coming down to earth process. We've been spoiled.
Yeah.
The first 18 or so games with this franchise. I think teams that have been beaten by Vegas, a la Winnipeg already, aren't taking them lightly anymore.
Exactly.
And I do believe we also have a real road problem. We cannot score on the road, and it's going to be an issue if we do not get that corrected. Because Malcolm didn't play awful, and giving up 3 goals a lot of times for a goalie is not, a death sentence. But if you can't get, if you can't get 3 goals, then obviously it's a huge problem. So if you're asking me about Malcolm played fine. I think Malcolm's play unseated a deeper issue with this team.
Yeah, I think they're starting to realize that they are a expansion team now, if you want to come down to the term of expansion. We did have 2 goals, however. McNabb, the new $10 million man.
Yeah, brand new contract, brand new set of offensive skills. Looks like it's paying off 2 games in.
Yeah, congratulations on his first goal of the season. Also, we had a goal from Marchessault.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which number that was, but he's up there in the rankings as far as goals scored. I think he's at 8 or 9 now.
Well, he's probably somewhere around there if I don't have my crack research staff looking directly at it, but I would say he's, up close to double digits.
With that game, though, I believe they played a little tired. They looked a little tired on the ice. They couldn't quite keep up with Minnesota.
Well, you and I went to practice the day before they traveled, and it looked almost like they weren't taking practice very seriously in my mind.
They were having a little bit of fun, yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I can understand, the long perils of a season. You need to kind of shake it up and have, you can't be serious all the time. But when the lights come on, it just seemed like you play the way you practice, and if sometimes practice doesn't go the way coach plans it, the events showcase themselves on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them cut the ice early as well too, and I remember when we were talking to Subban, we were like, "Hey, good luck in Minnesota." I think we kind of jinxed him.
Well, in that practice, he couldn't catch a cold in his glove, so.
Yeah, he was having a couple issues. The staff was working with him a little bit longer, but they were also working with Max as well.
Yeah, I'd say all in all, they played Minnesota tough. That's a hard building to go into, especially the last few years, to play against Dubnyk. So I don't take too much stock in that game. Isolated by itself, the Winnipeg game is really where the collective effort of the road trip became very troublesome for me.
Okay, well, let's jump into Winnipeg. The score was 7-4. We actually lost that one again.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Legacy in the goal this time.
Yeah, a 2-game road trip like that, really your goal is to get 2 or 3 points in something like that, and obviously it's disappointing we didn't get any.
Right.
So hopefully, they can brush that off, put it aside. Legacy was the goaltender of note, and if there was anybody even back there, because it didn't seem like there was, because Legacy kind of played some matador defense.
Yeah, a couple snuck by him, though, so I can't fault him completely. The team did look a little bit quicker and faster, but just could not keep up. It seems like they were scoring goals back and forth, and then we just...
Well, I mean, it was 2-2 going into the third, so I didn't catch the first 35 minutes of the game, so what I caught, I can only comment on. And that was Winnipeg putting up a 5 spot in the third. So I know that, from what I read and what I saw, online, the game actually for the first, 1.5 periods was actually pretty competitive. The Knights, are definitely a team that can hang tough. I don't know if it's a talent or a depth issue when it comes later on in the a game. If you have to conserve, the question is are you having to conserve your first and second lines for later in the game and potentially hurting yourself early? Gallant's going to have to figure out what he wants to do with that, because the third and fourth lines, the Bellemare line most notably, they're not an offensive juggernaut, and most fourth lines in the league aren't. I mean, let's just face facts.
Yeah.
But this fourth line is probably a fifth line on most teams because of the fact that they aren't really cohesive. They don't have a lot of chemistry together, and frankly, they're playing with Nosek, who really got no time in Detroit, and Mateau, who just called up from the AHL. So the question is do you need to conserve your top lines more so in the beginning of the game and hold their ice time towards the end of the game? Problem is you may risk getting down in a hole early. So that's something Gerard Gallant's going to have to figure out real quick. They have fallen out of first place, and let's hope they don't fall any farther.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
No, I know it was exciting times. After the quarter pole, you're in first place. It's an exciting feeling. But let's remember what the ultimate goal of this team is to contend the cup or the playoffs in 3, cup in 6. And McPhee's not going to lose sight of that no matter what happens.
Right. Well, real quick there with the goals, we had goals from Eakin, Carlson, Holla, and Miller.
Carlson is
the leader,
maintaining hotness, and we'll talk about it later, but it's a travesty that he's not on that All-Star fan vote.
I think so, too. Okay, so the next topic of interest is I want to talk about Brendan Leipsic.
Okay.
This kid, man, he plays with heart. I watch every single game. He is quick. He's firing up and down the ice. He's got control of the puck. He just can't get it in that goal.
Yeah, and that comes with time. I mean, the way he plays, he's more of a facilitator on the lines he's on. So the 8 assists or 9 assists, whatever it was, is 8 assists. Okay. So the 8 assists is definitely where his talents are going to be showcased. So he's playing well. I mean, obviously, the ultimate goal in hockey as a forward, you want to be rewarded with pucks in the back of the net.
Absolutely. I have so much love for this kid because I'm watching him play with heart and I'm rooting so hard for him to get a goal. And it's just...
Yeah, I mean, you can't force it. I mean, you and I sat there in the Colorado preseason game, and when we watched it, I believe I told you, I said, he's my favorite player.
Yes, you did.
He does. He plays with a sense of pride. He was on the Toronto Maple Leafs before he came here, and he was sitting in the AHL Farm Club, and I'm sure with all of the young studs that are on Toronto, he was just looking to make a name for himself, and I think that's what he's carrying over to Vegas. No goals yet, but the season's not lost because he hasn't scored.
Oh no, and I know that. I just like to make predictions on my Twitter, and I swear to you, I was watching him play in Winnipeg, and I'm like, this kid is gonna score tonight. And he had an assist, so I wasn't completely wrong.
One apple.
However, I did have one other prediction on my Twitter that night, and that was that Marc-Andre Fleury is going to, I think, 100% start against the Penguins on December 14th here in Vegas.
Hot take. Smoking.
Now, here's why.
Okay.
It's been reported on Twitter today,
Video
December
evidence.
2nd. Video evidence. He was at City National Arena today in practice gear, in goal, practicing with David Perron.
That is correct.
And he looked good.
Well, from what the 14 seconds we saw, you're right. He's on the ice, and whether he looked good or not at this point is irrelevant. Just being on the ice is baby step number one.
Right. And Gallant said that they're not going to bring him back until he is 100%. And they said there was one symptom.
Yeah, I don't know how that all works.
That he's still carrying of a concussion. I don't know what that could be. But
Diarrhea.
I honestly think they're holding out to bring him back in this huge glory on the 14th against his previous team.
I want to believe you're right. But if he's cleared and ready now, he needs to get in now.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. And he might be coming back sooner than that. However, I do believe he will start that night. So
I don't doubt that that's probably correct, but I think Gallant has this habit of not communicating with the players or talking to the staff about the injuries and stuff. But if he truly cares about the now mentality, they need to get on the same page.
Yeah. And
if he's ready to go, he needs to go. I think that, and unless Dansk was still in net, these two gentlemen, Subban and Legacy, they are what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, Subban had a hot start, so he's gotten a little bit of leeway. Legacy's just been, it's more of a loyalty thing with Legacy. Legacy came in when he's the fourth guy. He's put in 12 games. He put in the road trip, so he's getting his starts based on loyalty. But Fleury if he's ready, he needs to get in now.
God, I miss him. But let me jump back here because you did mention Oscar Dansk, and I still don't know what the frick he's injured from.
Yeah, they haven't been. All I've ever seen is undisclosed injury or leg injury.
Yeah.
So the way it looked in the game looked like a groin, but
they weren't quiet about Subban's groin injury.
There was nothing else it could have been. I was at that game against the Bruins, or not the Bruins. Excuse me.
Blues.
The Blues, and it was a groin injury.
Okay.
That was clear and present.
All right. Well, it's glad we're both glad to hear that Fleury is back out on the ice and skating again.
It's a good step. So
absolutely.
If it's the first step, great. If it's the final step, let's go.
Absolutely. Let's wrap it up with a couple things going on around town that include the Golden Knights. The first thing is tomorrow. Actually, this is Monday. Sorry, December 4th.
Well, it's after midnight on Sunday now, so it is tomorrow.
Oh, close. Anyways, starting on December 4th, the Golden Knights and the City National Arena are hosting a Women Learn to Play. This is for females 18 years or older that will be taught the basics of hockey. So you'll be on the ice, you'll be learning hockey.
That seems like a good one for you.
It does. However, I can't do it because I work on Monday nights. I already thought about it. Anyways, it is $135. You do have to provide your own equipment, and it is 6 weeks long every Monday at 7:30 p.m., excluding Christmas.
Okay, so it's a 6-week program. I looked at that. It's a good strategy to get a lot of women involved. I don't know how many women are going to want to show up in full pads and have to go buy pads who are just looking to get casual information on, learning the game. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what the cost is to the Knights. I can't imagine this being a successful initiative, but I wish them well.
Yeah, I mean, if they did it again, I might be interested in it.
And they just announced that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
They just, yeah, you're right. They did just announce it. But, I mean, they do want you to come with some sort of knowledge as far as skating on ice goes. They wanted to get, down and dirty right away, and I just can't even stand on skates.
Yeah, so. This may not be for a beginners. I think the VGK University is more for the beginning class.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they just announced it a couple days ago. So, for someone to sit there who doesn't have full pads in Vegas, we may have 3 or 4 stores, to go and buy full pads and go to a 6-week course. I don't know. We'll see.
Can I give him a plug? City National Arena does sell equipment.
Yeah, the Arsenal sells equipment, so you can get your full set of gear at the Arsenal.
I think 20 or so girls will show up.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just want people to go buy stuff at the Arsenal.
That could be it.
I like the Arsenal, but they need to expand their selection.
They just keep rotating new stuff in. So if you see something you like, they tell you to buy it then.
Yeah, I'm just more the jersey selection and the hat selection needs to expand, but that's just I'll put that in the suggestion box when I go over there. So.
All right. Well, the next event going on is on December 6th at the Cosmopolitan. It is a night with the Golden Knights. This is a meet and greet of sorts.
Yeah.
Starting at 6 p.m. The meet and greet's actually at 6:30. Entry is complimentary, and you can skate on the ice while you're there. I don't think the Golden Knights will be skating though.
They may not. I doubt it. They'll probably have a table set up, a couple autographs, shake some hands, kiss some babies. It kind of made me laugh when you said complimentary entry. The rhyming was nice.
Thank you. Hope it sounded good on the microphone.
You're a poet. Yeah, the skating will be cool. I think you and I are going to head out there. That's when, Tuesday?
It's a Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, yeah. So I think you and I will head out there.
Oh, yeah.
And check it out, because I know you want to
meet Nate Schmidt.
Knock skates with Nate Schmidt.
That sounded dirty.
That was the intention. So.
And then there's something going on the website. Is that correct? NHL.com/Golden Knights.
Yeah, the All-Star fan vote's up.
This is who we're going to be sending to Tampa for the All-Star game, correct?
Well, they're the players that are available to be voted on. I'm not sure if there's write-in candidate because, to be honest, like I said, Carlson is not one of the 6 candidates that are there, but somehow Fleury is. Yeah, what do you have? Fleury, Neal, Perron, Marcia So Smith, and Holla. So there's a hashtag trending on Twitter, stick tap to the sin bin. Write in Wild Bill. Hashtag write in Wild Bill.
I love it.
So if you see that, retweet that, get that spreading the word, because he is the most explosive player right now.
Oh yeah.
Neal in the beginning of the season has cooled off a little bit currently, but Wild Bill Carlson needs to be on there somehow.
I agree, and I would totally vote for him too because he is by far been the best the past couple weeks.
That's correct.
Alrighty, well, I appreciate all of you listeners out there. Just a couple places you can catch us. Again, we are on Twitter at Fortress Files. We'd love to hear from you guys. Please send us a line on Twitter and let us know what we can do and include the show. Also, our email is thefortressfiles@gmail.com if you want to secretly send me messages.
No, that's weird.
Well, people use social media these days. So, anyways.
They're like plentyofnights.com.
Wow. That's a good one with a K, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So this was cool. I mean, it's the first podcast. I know you're nervous as heck, but you rocked it. You knocked it out of the park.
I appreciate that so much.
We'll have this, when we have it up, we'll be blasting it all over social media. So if you would do us the honor of blasting it all over social media too, that would be eternally grateful. Let's get something started here. Let's get a movement.
Yeah!
Fortress Files. And we'll be having the shirts. We'll be at CNA. We'll be at T-Mobile. And come up and say hey. And we'd like to get some interviews from the fans.
Yes.
Get some input.
Yes. And
maybe one day Bill Foley will be sitting in that chair right over there and he'll have a chat with us.
That's surreal right there.
That'd be a neat trick, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for listening. Thank you, Aaron, for being my awesome producer and my awesome co-host. I appreciate everyone out there. And we'll see you next week with the Fortress Files.
onside on the power play. And the first goal in Golden Knights history here in the exhibition season goes to Tyler Watt.